Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all beautiful ladies in this world. I do hope you are all well and having great spirit in you for the weekend. I do hope that wherever you are, the weather is beautiful and inspiring for you, for many things that can be driven by our imagination and our mind creativity. Regardless in what kind of physical or mental state you are in. For today, important is to remember this day, like any other day, to be proud of ourselves. What have we done? What have we achieved in this past week? And this is somehow the invitation for today's subject, which is gratitude. I would like to speak about few aspects of gratitude, its foundation, and how it can appear in our lives. In my understanding, the gratitude foundation is the outcome of the level of our awareness, the way we are living our life. The level of happiness will indicate the components that are identified with the gratitude. Psychological and sociological aspects are coming together that will shape our mindset for being capable actually to see the things around and say it loud. We live so fast today, sometimes even I can say very superficial based, because we eat, we work, we sleep. We have sometimes even trivial expectations from surrounding us environments, surrounding us people. We do not go often into its depth. Where are these expectations coming from? We sometimes are looking at the Instagram accounts of other people and we say, oh, I wish to have this. This would make me happy. And this is why I call it one-dimensional approach, because we forget that it is just an image, that it is affecting our minds, similarly like with earning money, which is often major aim in our life. Is this really what creates the content of our life? The luxury? Going to work, earn money, have them a lot on the account? When we look at our page on daily basis, how are we feeling? What are we including on that page? What stories when we will become elder? What kind of stories we will be talking to our neighbors, to our grandkids? And I'm not talking about achievements like, I had successful career, I earned a lot of money, or I just saw a lot of places. Because traveling, it is one thing, but collecting the experience that you can turn into interesting narrative will be already different and often absent. We travel, we chase, but what we have in hand, what is value and how it has an impact on us. My close friend was recently attending the show where kids, her daughter too, were performing in their kindergarten show. My friend told me after that all parents were with their phones watching the show from the recording screen rather than enjoying the moment live. I personally, long time ago, stopped doing pictures. It's different today than 20 years ago, where we had to print them, place into an album. Do you remember the spirit when with beloved ones, with family or friends, you were opening the book and loudly talking about the story from the pictures? Today we have thousands of pictures, selfies, maybe more even, on the phones. Downloading on a monthly basis on cloud or external hard disk, not to lose it. Will we ever go back to it? Very often we are talking about gratitude. Oh, I'm grateful for work, I'm grateful for husband, for wife. Sorry, we are women here only. So I'm grateful for husband, I'm grateful for car. Then why we are not grateful for eyes? Why we are not grateful for hair, teeth, hands, and 5 fingers at each hand? Grateful for being complete. Why we are not grateful for the physical aspects of our being? Why we are not grateful for our brain that makes us capable to get up every morning and to think, to control our functioning? These are very basics and most probably sound very boring. Boring because we take it all for granted. Whatever we have, this kind of physical goods and richness in our life, we take it for granted. And because we take it for granted, we choose to chase the rabbit. Going back for the foundation and way how we are developing, starting from the beginning, I find sociology very interesting subject, not in terms of this academia perspective, but actually as this ecosystem that is accompanying us from the moment we are born. We will go through life and we will be changing the environment. We will be changing the people by whom we are surrounded. Each of these new learned environmental experience will have impact on us in different manner. And it is because we are also growing. We are every year gaining 1 year, right? We are born growing, we start to learn, we start to develop some skills, abilities. And for me, sociology is in a wider meaning the indication that the environment is the first that is adding the shape to the human existence. Especially in young age. We do not have too much impact on it because we are exposed to a situation where we are not having decision-making rights as we are minors, but on other dimensions, being in kindergarten, being in the primary school, later in high school. These will shape us from the position of certain character traits and will develop variety of values that we will be driven throughout our teenagerhood. Those values will direct us what we are able to accept, what we are not. How do we follow the crowd, or we do not? Within that process that is happening, there is neuroscience. When we start to think, we have much richer vocabulary. We start to connect our emotions, our feelings with the terms. And while we are growing, I assume we learn how to express ourselves more and to develop own narrative. That's the outcome of brain development and an active involvement of prefrontal cortex, which is never stopping to develop, because we will have different experience in life, different situations. And as long as we are alive and pay attention how it has an impact, we still have influence on it. We will have luck to have healthy childhood. Still, there might be different type of scenes coming in, either fight, broken heart, or divorce of parents, or other changes, negative changes. We were not at that time able to manage because, again, sociology had an impact on us. We follow the adults. They are our authority. Or we are not developed enough to understand the circumstances, and we are not wise yet enough to name it and create the behavioral response to the circumstance. When we are adult, in some cases like early 20s, we can still be called yellow chickens, though we should not remain on the same emotional status while we have been in high school. With every change that is coming in our life, either positive or negative, especially negative, we should become wiser. the level of this wisdom increases while we are aging. When we are 30 years old and we react on the change in the same way as we have been 20, somehow it would be a sign that we get stuck and we missed the train to behavioral intelligence. If we are 40 and we act in the same way as we have been 30, it means again we kept our heads away from the reality. We did not gain the sociological wisdom that has psychological impact on our emotional intelligence. Here I am giving you an example of the decade as a period of time, but we should be able to notice the change within us from year to another year. If we don't move, if we do not change, it is worth to make reflection on that, unless we are happy and satisfied who we are. There are situations I would like myself to say, take it easy, but then awareness of the responsibilities and its value is putting me into the stage where I have to make a decision. It will be related to my personal compromising. Other times it will be sacrificing. And of course, once we do sacrifice, that brings us pain and discomfort. This is another corner which we should definitely avoid. Compromising that makes us happy is healthy. Sacrificing that does not make any itchy in our hearts or mind is healthy one. Most probably the sacrifice will be also related to the values that we are carrying in us. Same with compromising. Either this is related to our professional life or a love life, we shall remember that there is a strong relationship between giving and taking. We shall not ignore when only one side produces. Sample, if you work hard but you mean just as employee. Do we have balance here? If we do a lot around family but receiving little attention, is this called balance? This experience will shade and limit the things we can add and should be grateful for. The experience will have impact on our horizontal perspective that will have direct implication on the level of our happiness and ability to see in detail the components we want to be, not should be, but want to be grateful for. In positive psychology, in a book, Positive Psychology, Theory, Research and Implication, by Alana Boniwell and Aneta Tunariu, authors refer to Aristotle. He questioned the topics of psychology about human being and what is valuable in life. And he concluded, and I'm reading here straight from the book, he concluded that the highest good for all humanity was indeed happiness. And his work argued that although pleasure may arise from engaging with activities that are virtuous, it is not the sole aim of humanity. Authors also raise that happiness is often measured as through wrongly set up receptors on what will make us happy. That is why we go for the new car, we go for a new bike, we go for an expensive restaurant, this, that, material items. But so rarely we go for the items that are related to our inner self. And I think because we live very fast, these inner items require attention, require time, require work. And we will find a lot of reasons not to do that work, because we want to have easy solutions. That's why we are going for holidays, expensive resorts, all-inclusive, of course. We will have a hope, we will believe it will make us happy. It will be a moment. Then you go back home, work, back to your sociological environment, and you are back to reality. Most probably because this short-term experience that you call happiness was not really building up an essence for inner state and purpose. It is another aspect, how we usually consider the things that we experience. Though the lens of expectations, I receive an attention when I serve. Once attention is missing, we focus our mind on unfairness in life. This develops kind of disappointment, dissatisfaction, anger. Sometimes I thought, I will never do that again mode. I will not sacrifice myself for anybody else anymore. But this is a decision, weak emotional intelligence. This experience, as many others, we can always consider through two aspects. Hammer ourselves, because our expectations were not met, or to look at the situation, reflect, become wiser, and continue to be happy. To be satisfied that indeed you were able to create a good experience for other people and put yourself outside the picture. The next time, be slower in taking the decision to make people satisfied, and make sure that you do it in line with yourself. So when you go for a compromise or sacrifice, it will be aligned with you and it will make you happy. And make you happy means do not expect any reaction or gratitude from the people that you are serving. Either this is professional life or in private life. There will be a lot of aspects, again, the quality of gratitude background. We so rarely do this in a higher level of awareness. As I mentioned before, sociology is shaping us until we are 18. We are at a certain level limited because, again, we do not have full rights to make decisions. But it still shapes our values that we are having when we become adults. Another aspect we should be aware of is the neuroscience, what we do to our brain, how we develop our brain. And these two elements are actually forming our cognitive map. Now we are adults. We are aware, we are wives, we are mothers, we are employees, we are daughters, we are aunts, we are granddaughters. How actually will we build up the cognitive map? Who we are today? How this map is evidencing our collective experience that creates inner values, which eventually affects our human behavior. How do you see yourself when you draw these elements? Column 1, sociology, what had an impact on me? People from the past, colleagues, friends who had an impact, teachers, neighbors. Column 2, the neuroscience, what kind of work had happened? How did I develop? Did I change myself over the years? Do I have the same values? Do I hold them strongly? Is my moral spine same or has changed? Am I a better person? How it moves my cognitive map. The environment, culture of behavior, how I would label myself based on my cognitive map. Then analyze. All these three elements that you have just drew, sociology, neuroscience, and cognitive map. All these three elements that you have just drew in front of you and its analysis can foster the process of thinking towards analytical capabilities. How do you analyze yourself? Where are the elements that you would like to change or actually you did not embrace well enough yet? It was very interesting for me while I was doing research for my work around building model. I titled it Roadmap of Development, because we consider leadership from the perspective of business, but there's so many dimensions and so many qualities that actually should be applied within our personal life before we speak about leadership. I personally am a fan of transformational leadership, and when we go through all its dimensions, all means four, all are worth practice. I love individual stimulation, how much stimulation we do to ourselves and how we as individual create a sociological environment to have positive impact on people who are around us. Are we an inspiration for other people, for our friends, for our kids, to the people we are surrounded by? As an individual, we take place in many aspects, and the way how you are in private, most probably you will have the same taste as you are in professional perspective. If you are different, and I mean entirely different, of course, at work we will be more serious, obviously. But I talk about way we treat people, way we speak to them, level of trust. If there is a gap, it means the truth is not there yet. Two natures in one body cannot find balanced happiness. What kind of qualities are you associating yourself with as a human being who is living in the house with people, with families, parents, neighbors? Today we are having last Saturday of March and continuing and actually finishing our challenge for some changes to be introduced in our life. I invite you to change of habits, and I don't mean that the entire daily routine should be changed, but pick one. If you have some habits on a daily basis, I assume you do have such, but pick one which you think you would benefit if you would change it, or create one that will balance you within all this turmoil of daily life. It can be reading a book every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It can be daily routine in the evening that you shut down all your electronics at 8 p.m. and putting some anti-wrinkles cream under your eyes and going to bed, reading some music or doing a meditation. Habits that will create some nice and kind ritual to your soul. Be grateful for sky. Be grateful for earth, grain and rain. And every day use for your wisdom to gain. Be grateful for who you are, because you are the only one. Be happy.